MedTOWN. PEXA is a not-for-profit organization working in the field of social affairs, solidarity, migration, and poverty. It runs several projects supporting structures for poverty, transnational projects related to social interventions in local communities, and also published a scientific journal called Social Cohesion and Development twice a year with peer review. It focuses on scientific approach to social interventions, and through the project we promote co-production at local level, with testing place being a small municipality in North Greece, the municipality of Pageo. And we are optimistic with the other Greek colleagues and the colleagues of the project that we can have some positive results that would affect also changes in the policies applied that would improve the local economies for the benefit of the communities and the people there. So I will ask Fabrizio Paloni from the Joint Secretariat for his welcome in this meeting. Mr. Paloni, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a very nice occasion to show the program developing the internal synergies. This is considered already a success. The fact that you organized this meeting for a cross-fertilization among projects working on social solidarity economy, on social inclusion, and not only. This means that there is a matter of exchange among the projects, not only from thematic objective 3, so social inclusion and fight against poverty, but you have selected also Aquacycle project, which was funded under thematic objective 4 on climate change and environment protection. So it means that there is an effective share of knowledge, and we watch at this event as one prominent opportunity to carry out the program in an effective way. I am also bringing to you the best wishes of a successful meeting from the representatives of the managing authority and from all my colleagues who deal with the projects on a daily basis. I will be with you during the morning, but I shall interrupt in some occasions, but I will follow your meeting, and personally I am very curious about the exchange you are carrying out with among the projects, and so I wish a good meeting, and I give back the floor to Yannis Tsoukaldis for coordinating the opening. Thank you very much, and keep up the good job.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paloni. Now I give the floor to Nikolaos, the Headmaster of the Registry of Social and Solidarity Economy in the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs in Greece. Mr. MPOSINAKOS, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Tsoukaldis. Thank you for the invitation to participate in the MedTOWN webinar related to social innovation and social inclusion. representing the Directorate for Social and Solidarity Economy of the Greek Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs, I would like to transfer my colleagues' warm greetings and wishes for a fruitful procedure to all participants. It's more than obvious that promoting social innovation is a key factor for both public services and private entities in their effort to achieve social goals and to provide quality services in citizens and enterprises. Discovering new needs, finding new products and services, and experimenting with innovative ways and tools in order to provide them to people accelerates both economic growth and social development. Cooperation of all players in that field, especially in the context of what we call social and solidarity economy, is fundamental for multiplying the positive effects of all distinct members of the ecosystem. In Greece, there is a 10-year effort of the state to establish a concrete and productive legal framework, aiming to help the creation of new social enterprises and to encourage the formulation of networks for social entities of all types. The implementation of this framework, Law 4019 and the current Law 4430, has resulted in the creation of a small but vivid and promising ecosystem. More than 1,800 entities, social enterprises, we call them KINSEP, workers, cooperatives, and other social solidarity entities have been included in this framework. Many of them produce innovative goods and services, helping local communities to face economic and social challenges of our times. Despite old or emerging problems and difficulties, there are all over the country a lot of creative groups of people, mainly young, who try to use efficiently their personal ambitions and their talents in order to achieve social goals. On the other hand, more effort and motivation is needed for the promotion of networking between social solidarity entities and for the cooperation between public administration and the social ecosystem. Although lately there is an encouraging sign with the creation of several unions of social solidarity entities, there are many things to be done if we would like to support real and functional cooperation schemes which provide added value to everyone's efforts. In that sense, projects as the MedTOWN project have a vital role in helping social and solidarity enterprises, associations, and public services to discuss, experiment, and explore new ways to act socially. Comparative advantages and strengths of each one complement and face weaknesses and problems of others. Common understanding and knowledge is crucial for the diffusion and the effective use of social innovation, especially in the field of social services and in the context of challenges as the pandemic era. Public services and social entities ought to find ways to take advantage of every chance and make these services apparent, affordable, quality, and disposable to everyone in need. Intersectoral and international projects, as the current one, promote social innovation, help public administration to understand what happens now in the field, and excludes useful conclusions for designing public policies. In our directorate, being in daily touch with the social and solidarity actors, we try to decode their messages, to answer their questions, and to help them face problems emerging from their inclusion in the current legal framework. There are many steps needed in order to establish a stable and productive cooperation. Both public services and social solidarity entities aim to satisfy social needs in an immediate, effective, just, and innovative manner. There is the will. We all have to find the right ways, the appropriate tools, and the essential means to lead our common efforts in success. Thank you again, and may you all have a productive webinar.
Thank you, Mr. MPOSINAKOS. Now it's time to give the floor to our keynote speaker, Mr. Mikael LEYI. Mr. Mikael LEYI, thank you for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good morning to you all. My name is Mikael LEYI, Secretary General of Solidar, of which ACCP is an important and cherished member. We represent more than 50 civil society organizations across Europe. And let me first thank the collaborators behind this important international event on social innovation and inclusion for the kind invitation to address you at the launch of the conference. I've been asked to speak about the lessons learned from the ongoing pandemic, the importance of civic participation, civil and social dialogue, and the experience from the EU in this regard in the face of current challenges. My short intervention will be a political one, perhaps a plea, as well as an argument for how we achieve the most that we can together to win a sustainable future for us all. In the current global health crisis, we have seen existing inequalities, including in job security, income security, access to health and education, and job equality grow, and new inequalities appear, such as digital divides. Inequalities that divide countries and regions and lay bare global disparities. In essence, COVID revealed the brutality of pre-existing inequalities and to a certain extent exacerbated them. There are many lessons to be drawn from the ongoing pandemic, I would say, many who remain unclear to us still at our current viewpoint, but I argue that there are three very important ones that we can draw already now from these past 2 years as we prepare for current and future crises and the great societal transformations needed to meet them. The first one, societies with accurately funded, universally accessible, capacitated, and well-functioning health and care systems and services were far better equipped to cater for citizens' needs and rights and for the enormous burden that the pandemic has meant for these systems. They were a lot better equipped than their downsized and starved alternatives. 2. Societies with strong social partners and organized local communities and civil societies, as well as mechanisms for social and civil dialogue, were faster, more accurate, creative, and better prepared in their policy responses and actions than their more autocratic and mute reference points, managing to guarantee the rights and lives of their fellow citizens to a greater extent. And thirdly, the pandemic has truly been global. In my lifetime, it's perhaps the first truly globally shared experience. It has been impossible to deny that what happens in one country has a direct effect on all other countries. While its effects were as unequally and unjustly distributed as the societies preceding it, it has underlined the importance of global responses to global crisis. There is no singular, protectionist, national, or even regional solution to be sought in the face of similar crises in the future. These three lessons, I would argue, are of material importance as we seek to deal with the current social, health, environmental, and climate crises, who are developing in parallel currently all across the globe. We need to both allow for more public financing, planning, and management, as well as civic participation and dialogue at local, national, regional, and global level at the same time. These lessons will be essential to make sure that the policies developed in their response enhances resilience, offers a sense of meaning and hope locally, as well as go as far as we need them to go. Because the challenges are monumental, and the replies needs to be as well. Participation and its subsequent negotiations in combination with a strong and well-equipped state are thus essential to arrive at solutions that are both generally acceptable to grand swaths of society and that are possible to implement at a social level. To guarantee that social dialogue happens in a meaningful way, there needs to be both institutionalized forms of cooperation, discussions, and deliberations prior to decisions being made, laws being crafted, possibly in the form of commissions or similar. But we also need broad alliances within society at all levels, local, regional, national, and global, to give us the necessary leverage and influence over the form and shape of these platforms, as well as the agenda on their tables. We need alliances to force and push politics in the right direction for a socially just transition to more democratic, inclusive, fair, and sustainable societies, and to provide meaningful and constructive outlets of public engagement and frustration in the face of increased inequalities and public deficiencies. We need both. And this is also what Solidar is aiming to do, both as a family of progressive civil society organizations in Europe to support the collective sense of belonging, of speaking the same language and fighting for the same kind of change in all 23 countries represented, but as well at the EU level. We see cooperation and alliances within our progressive family, as well as more broadly with other parts of civil society at this level. It can take the more institutionalized form, such as social platform, Concord, or the lifelong learning platform in our respective areas of work. And it can take a more political form, such as the newly launched European Alliance for a Just Transition, in which we rally behind the declaration or public statement. We do this for the simple fact that it allows us to exert more influence at the EU level, speaking with one voice, together with our fellow federations, representing then many more citizens through our various organizations than if we were alone. We become harder to neglect and surpass, very simply put. The EU, I would say, has come quite a long way in terms of institutionalizing and practicing dialogue and conversations with civil society and trade unions. It is enshrined in the treaties and foreseen in important policy processes, such as the National Recovery and Reconciliation Plans now, for example. On paper, I think, therefore, there is reason to say that many of the EU institutions are an example to follow when it comes to how one can devise and design social and civil dialogue. However, there are also a lot to be wished for in terms of its implementation, how capacitated and meaningful the forms of cooperation are, and how much leverage they have in the final policy expression. There is a lot of, it's not rare to feel that these dialogues are done as part of a requirement rather than a meaningful participation that really affects policy outcomes. To advance on these matters and to guarantee meaningful participation, broad alliances are therefore necessary, and the only way forward, irrespective, I would argue, to the level we find ourselves in. The European Alliance for a Just Transition is an example of bringing together diverse stakeholders under one common objective. Party political organizations, social movements, climate and environmental NGOs are all coming together to ensure a just transition to a more social and sustainable Europe. The change we aspire to do and to win, if we are in a local community in Greece, Spain, Tunisia, Palestine, anywhere else in the world, is too great for any one of our organizations, or even together with our usual partners, to win all by ourselves. We won't succeed, I would argue. So we need each other, and we need to do and find perhaps uncomfortable alliances with organizations and representatives we normally don't work with to win this future. The pandemic has given us a common reference point, a globally shared experience, even if we lived through it in very, very different ways. This is also how we best make use of the terrible experience we've had, so that we increase our resilience and preparedness for what is to come. For everyone, I would argue, with eyes, ears, and an analytical mind, it lays bare the limitations of the current economic system and need for bolder, progressive, and transformative policies. These are not radical ideas anymore. If you want to implement Agenda 2030, bolder, progressive, and transformative policies are necessary. We are living in times of tremendous transformations, more rapid in many ways than ever before in human history, through an ever more entangled globalized world and economy, a digital revolution that redefines time, space, and social behavior, and a climate emergency that threatens our very existence on this planet. Major changes and transformations are upon us and will only increase over the coming years, no matter if we decide to do everything now or nothing. But we should do our best to meet them. And how to deal with these systemic and structural transformations, how we prepare and invest in them, who shall drive them, how to divide the good that comes out of them, as well as how to build resilience to face them, are all central questions for the coming years. And I would say that a key lesson from the pandemic is that if we want to find appropriate answers, that will only come through civil and social dialogue. When locally organized communities and civil society, social movements, trade unions, environmental movements, NGOs, religious congregations, farmers, local businesses and cooperatives, national level actors and regional institutions come together to define these answers and fight for them. As a progressive movement, we now have an opportunity to formulate policy responses, articulate dreams, and rally our constituencies and local communities in response to these globally lived lessons from the pandemic, to increase synergies, partnerships, and alliances of all sorts between the North and the South, to work together for a just transition towards social justice, to develop policy responses that prepare our societies for the great leap we need in order to put us on a sustainable path towards a future where job quality, social rights, and equality go hand in hand with environmental sustainability, social innovation, and digital ingenuity. I choose to be cautiously optimistic about our chances to win this future for us all, and I'm convinced that the conversations like the one now organized through the MedTOWN project on social innovation, how to engage communities, how to link communities across borders form an essential part of how we develop this path together. So I wish you the best of luck for today's conversations. I thank you once again for the ability and opportunity to address you today. Thank you, and have a great conference.
Well, Mikael, thank you very much for such an inspiring and interesting intervention it's obvious from a European network of progressive civil society and labor movement organizations. It is obvious that you are carrying out an active lobbying in order to make citizens' voices heard by the European institution and make sure that they participate more in the design of public policies and European policies for a better and more fair world and future that is common. You've said many things, many interesting points. What is one of it that I would like to repeat again is that the pandemic the effects, the negative effects of the pandemic were not equal to all people. And this is actually the role of the social solidarity economy. It is really recognized the important role that these entities played in providing new products and new policies, inspiring public authorities to provide new policies and better social policies for these for people that we say we label them as vulnerable, and it seems that they don't have the same quality of life than the rest of us.